From WBNS-10 TV Columbus, this is the noon edition of Eyewitness News. With Roy Briscoe and Penny Moore at the anchor desk, Tom Lang with computer satellite weather, and Kerry Ross on sports. This is the noon edition of Eyewitness News.
Good afternoon. Roy Briscoe is off today. The Columbus Citizen-Journal has been given up for dead by the Bath, Ohio businessman who claimed he could save it. The CJ's banner headline this morning says Niles Reinfeld will not sign for the rights to publish the CJ after all. John Damschroeder is live at the Citizen-Journal office building downtown with more on the story. So tomorrow would be the last edition of the paper, John.
That's right, Penny. Niles Reinfeld says he ran short of time and money in his quest to publish the CJ. And ironically, Reinfeld is blaming bad press. And he says most of that bad press came in the CJ for the fact that he could not find the investors he needed to pull this off. Because of his financial trouble, Reinfeld has given up his plan to ask a federal court to extend the joint operating agreement with the Dispatch another 6 months. I must admit we're taking all the information for this right from the CJ story on the front page today, because after an hour's worth of busy signals to Mr. Reinfeld's home, we had to conclude his phone is off the hook and he did not want to talk. It's also a sad day here at the CJ, and a lot of people that don't want to talk. But later on this afternoon, the newsroom will be opening up, and reporters will be talking to other reporters like myself about their thoughts on the death of their paper. And, of course, tomorrow, the last edition, will be there more personal and intimate, I'm sure. Goodbye to Columbus. Penny?
Okay, now, John, what about the other group of investors that was trying to buy it from Mr. Reinfeld? That's totally over, too.
I'm not sure of that, Penny, but when we talked to Tom Tripp last, he said whenever a paper ceases to exist, it's pretty much done. You can't allow it to have a time where it's not published, because once that happens, the staff goes its separate ways, and rather than publishing a continuing, ongoing paper, you'd be starting up a new one, and that's even harder than keeping the CJ alive, and we've seen that no one's been able to do that. So I wouldn't hold out much help of a new paper.
Okay. Thank you very much, John Damschroeder, reporting live from downtown Columbus. Well, it is the 11th hour today for KOTA and the insurance coverage for its buses. The company that used to provide KOTA's $1 million liability coverage went out of business. Now, 2 weeks ago, KOTA's board of directors decided the bus company could insure itself until a final decision on what to do could be made today. The board will be considering several possible ways to go, including dropping all of its insurance policies and handling its own claims. Franklin County welfare workers are trying to change what they call an archaic food stamp system. They are staggering the mailing of food stamp cards instead of sending them all out on one day. They say that should cut down on long lines when people go to pick up their food stamps. The welfare department is also planning to open some privately run centers for people to get their stamps.
The advantage of these centers would be that they have a longer period of operation than we have. In some cities they operate 24 hours a day. They also open on Saturdays or possibly even Sundays, depending upon the need.
Now, the welfare department still needs approval from the county and the state to continue this staggered system. It also needs a federal okay to open the private centers. 2 teenage boys are free, and the man who held them hostage for more than a day is dead. The Covington, Kentucky police chief identified the man as 20-year-old Dennis Lucas. Now, there are no details about how the 2 boys, ages 16 and 15, got out of the house they were being held in, or about how Lucas was shot. Lucas gave the police a noon deadline today to meet his demands, $50,000 and a plane ticket to England. Now, if we do get an update on how this situation came about, we will bring it to you later in this newscast. Funeral services were held this morning for a young Columbus man from the Army's 101st Airborne Division. 21-year-old Private First Class Walter Daniels was among the 248 soldiers killed in that plane crash in Newfoundland on December 12th. Services were held at the Southeast Christian Church on Livingston Avenue. Daniels' parents live here in Columbus. He was a graduate of Eastmore High School. Private Daniels was a helicopter mechanic in the Army. He had 1 year left to serve when he was killed. A fire in Randolph Township, New Jersey, killed a Columbus couple early this morning. Paul and Mary Underwood were pronounced dead at the scene of that fire. They had been visiting relatives in New Jersey and were staying with some friends, Louis and Nancy Knipp. The Knipps were injured in the fire. They are now in the hospital. So far, firemen don't know how this fire started. Reporter Carol Looper says the Underwoods will be missed.
70-year-old Paul Underwood was a retired OSU journalism professor. He'd been a correspondent for the Associated Press and the New York Times, and he and Mary had traveled all over the world. Mary Underwood was an artist whose work you've seen right here on Eyewitness News. Her sketches brought the courtroom to life, all those times our cameras weren't allowed inside. She talked about her work in a story we did with her in April of 1984.
I think it's hard to do. It's demanding. I think the thing is that absolutely headlong right-outness about it when there's no chance of changing anything very much. So you have to have it, just do it, and then if it's wrong, like, everybody sees it when I do it. There it is.
Mary Underwood started sketching for 10 TV about 8 years ago. Paul Underwood's students include many of the local reporters whose work you see, hear, and read every day. The Underwoods leave 2 sons and a daughter. Carol Looper, Eyewitness News.
And coming up next on the news at noon, a husband and wife are reunited after years of separation, and investigators look for the answers in 2 terrorist attacks as a young victim is laid to rest. The story's next at noon. 2 terrorist attacks in European airports last Friday continues today. Israeli Defense Minister Yitzhak Rabin says that these are not isolated incidents.
The war against terrorism, the way that we see it, it's a one prolonged war. It's not an act and a reaction. It's not a retaliation. It's a war that has to be waged in a way to minimize the damage that we suffer, to inflict the maximum damage on terrorists and those who help them.
Meanwhile, Austrian officials say today that the terrorists who killed 3 people at the Vienna airport intended to hijack an El Al plane. Austria's interior minister says the terrorists hope to create confusion in the terminal, take hostages, and escape on a hijacked plane. 12 travelers and 3 terrorists died in a simultaneous attack at Rome's airport. 2 Central Ohio women were injured in that attack. Italian police are questioning the 2 surviving terrorists who say they are part of a splinter PLO group, as an 11-year-old American victim of the attack is being buried in Rome.
A blind date with murder. 4 men who had never met gather in Rome and attack a crowd of strangers. That's the story Mohammed Sarham, the terrorist who survived the slaughter at Rome airport, told police. Sarham said he came by train from Switzerland, linked up with 1 comrade at a Rome boarding house, and eventually they joined 2 others. At the airport terminal, so the story goes, the terrorists took machine guns and hand grenades from their luggage and opened fire. One of their victims, 11-year-old Natasha Simpson, daughter of an American journalist, is being buried today. 4 other Americans were killed, along with 8 other innocent people and 3 of the 4 terrorists. Sarham, who was wounded in the attack, told police he and the others belonged to a hardline Palestinian group opposed to the peacemaking efforts of Yasser Arafat. Italian authorities say it's the Abu Nidal group. All 4 terrorists, Italian officials believe, were trained in Iran. Sarham says the attacks will continue. Bert Quint, CBS News, Rome.
2 Georgia girls are home today after being abducted by 2 men. The 12-year-old girls disappeared December 22nd while riding their bicycles on an isolated road near their homes. The only clue was a tire track near where the bicycle tracks ended. 400 people searched for the girls but found nothing. The girls say the men let them go and they walked home. The police are now searching for the men. It was a reunion 6 years in the making. Helle Friedges is finally reunited with the husband she hasn't seen since 1981. Mrs. Friedges was denied an exit visa by the Soviet Union to be with her American husband. The couple married in 1979. Just days before the Geneva summit, the word came down that 10 people were given permission to emigrate to the United States to be with relatives. Mrs. Friedges is the first to arrive. And still ahead on the news, a Cleveland Life Flight helicopter gets some help from the ground. Tom Lang will have the weather forecast, and in Weatherwise, we'll find out what the weather has to do with UFOs. We'll be back right after this. Pressed into service early this morning to lead a lost life flight helicopter to St. Vincent Medical Center in Toledo. The pilot was from Cleveland and had never flown to the Toledo hospital before. He got a little lost. He spent 30 minutes flying around the city before a police cruiser saved the day. The rooftop lights on the cruiser were turned on, and the pilot just followed the cruiser right on into the hospital. And we'll follow Tom Lang right now for the weather forecast. It's supposed to be a little warmer today, is it not?
Yes, it's car washing weather. Oh. And that means if I do that, it'll snow tomorrow, and that's the way that works. 12 degrees in Columbus this morning for the low, 29 for the high so far at 10 TV, and 26 at Port Columbus. Normals on this day, 21 and 36, with a last year low of 33 and a high of 50. The record low, minus 12, way back in 1880. And the record high of 63 in 1964. Temperatures across the country, one location reporting the teens, and that's at Caribou, Maine. Otherwise not bad. 47 degrees at Las Vegas, 48 at Phoenix, and we know what Westerville South did down there, right? They'll be playing the Fiesta Bowl on New Year's Day, I believe. They won the competition down there. 48 degrees at Dallas, and also 56. Kind of cool at New Orleans right now. What we're looking at across the country on the satellite map is our next storm system, which will be this cold front swinging itself right through the plains and into Ohio a little bit later on. But that high-pressure system out west brought very, very cold temperatures to Boise, Idaho, with 6 degrees below zero, and a high-pressure system right here over the south, bringing in some very cold temperatures. By the way, that storm system causing some problems in Colorado with 70-mile-per-hour winds, and also in southeastern Wyoming. Icy roads over the Rocky Mountain area from Utah all the way back into northern California. Cold temperatures can be expected down throughout the southeast tomorrow morning as that temperatures continue to fall under that high-pressure system. And right there, Buffalo, New York, what a mess they have on their hands. 67.8 inches of snow for the month of December. They are 1/2 inch away from the record. Erie, Pennsylvania, 59.1 inches of snow. They're only 3.3 inches away from their record. It looks like Buffalo, New York could break the record. That record was set in January of 1977. Remember that mess? How can you forget it? Let's find out what's going on across the eastern part of the United States at the present time. In the northeast, high-pressure system to the south of us. We're getting a funnel of southwest winds, and that means warmer temperatures for Ohio, even into the low to mid-40s right over the southern part of the state expected for this afternoon. But that cold front will start to move itself across the Great Lakes, and as it does, we'll look for some colder temperatures behind it. We'll also look, depending on where the temperatures are falling, you know, below freezing or above freezing, sleets and freezing rain, snow, and just plain old rain expected tomorrow and tonight over the very southern part of Ohio. Traveling today looks good for Michigan and Indiana, Kentucky, West Virginia, and Pennsylvania, either partly to mostly sunny skies throughout the region, and then we'll be looking at increasing clouds and possibility tonight of some snow over in Michigan. Some increasing clouds, possible rain or sleet mixed with a little snow late tonight. That'll be into tomorrow morning over Indiana. Some rain or sleet possible over Kentucky, increasing clouds over Pennsylvania, and also West Virginia for tonight and into tomorrow morning as that front approaches. Ohio today, what an eye roller. It's not going to be bad. Mostly sunny. We can look for temperatures about 30 to 35 over the northern part of the state, the upper 30s over central Ohio, and 40 to 45 degrees possible over the very southern part of the state. Here's what Columbus has at the present time. 26 at Port Columbus, 29 at 10 TV. Relative humidity at 58%, barometer at 30.15. Wind chill is +7. For this afternoon, mostly sunny, a little warmer. High of 37, and it'll be 32 tonight, increasing clouds, a chance of some snow or rain. And tomorrow we'll look for cloudy skies, a chance of snow or rain, with a high right around 37. And the reason I mentioned Westerville South, when Johnny comes marching home.
When Johnny comes marching home, he'll get a big hug from his mother.
Yes, he will.
By the way, it must be a heck of a nice place in Buffalo in the summer to keep people there all winter.
Used to it. They don't care. They expect
5 feet
it.
of snow.
Well, yes, it is.
Thank you
Okay.
very much, Tom. In this week's Weatherwise, Joe Holbrook is exploring a little science fiction, only the spectacles of flying saucers and even entire cities lifted into midair may not be fiction at all.
We often hear of temperature inversions in the summer here in Ohio, trapping smog and pollution. But temperature inversions do occur in cold weather as well. Temperature inversions can conjure up optical illusions we find hard to believe. Normally, air gets colder with altitude, but when a warm layer intrudes between two colder layers, the refractive condition of the atmosphere is disturbed. The best example of this is the heat mirage we often see on highways in a hot summer, or the mirage of water the old prospector sees on the desert. But the most spectacular inversion is one called the superior mirage. A strongly heated land surface is fanned with a light breeze. The breeze transfers the heat to another cooler surface. When these conditions are just right, all kinds of weird things happen. Objects that lie beyond the horizon can shift. Times of sunrise and sunsets may deviate as much as 2 minutes from the true times. But the most amazing of all, entire cities can be lifted bodily into midair and seen in the sky. Could a number of flying saucer reports have been ordinary car headlights reflected by the superior mirage? They could have been transported to the sky and at the proper angle have been seen to travel at great speeds and in formation. Joe Holbrook with Weatherwise.
And when we come back, Carrie Ross is back, and she'll have all the sports news. And in Miami, it's a little different kind of parade. We'll tell you all about it next. Bowl game without a parade. The Rose Bowl has one, so of course all the other bowls have one. But who ever heard of the King Mango Bowl? Well, this bowl parade isn't quite what you might expect.
You know the King Orange Jamboree Parade is just around the corner when this other parade struts to the streets, the King Mango Strut. Admittedly, a parade that's a bit less dignified, a bit more loose in the types of groups it allows down the main plaza of Coconut Grove. But then, what do you expect of a parade? Sole purpose is to put the nut back in Coconut Grove.
We're here to promote zaniness, to show the world that Miami has a sense of humor.
Because it's so much fun.
That's one day I'll come out of my shell and I'm not the shy guy that everyone thinks I am.
Of course, most of these people get little or no publicity the rest of the year. Where else can you get a glimpse of the real Beatrice or the barber who cuts hurricane forecasters Neil Frank's hair? Now, I'm not saying that they don't spend a lot of time preparing for this event. Take a look at the precision of this briefcase drill team, or its closest competitor, the lawn chair precision drill team. No less than 40 strutting units, and the biggest of them all, once again, of course, the marching Freds. 134 Freds to be exact, from old Freds to thoroughbreds to any Fred.
His real name is Frederick Handel's dog.
I've never heard of that before.
Never?
That's incredible.
Incredible? Yeah, so is the King Mango Strut Parade.
A lot of crazy people in the world.
There are a lot of them right here, but not on this set right now. Carrie Ross is back from vacation. Welcome home.
It's good to be here.
You have sports.
I certainly do.
Changes.
Yeah, we've got a lot of head coaching changes today, Penny. The first one, the Falcons have a new head football coach. Bowling Green State University named Howard Mo Ankney this morning as its new football leader. Ankney was an assistant coach at the University of Arizona. He is a 1964 graduate of Bowling Green and began his coaching college ball at Ball State, where he spent 5 years. Ankney then went to Tulane University for 4 seasons before then going to Arizona. Now, Ankney replaces Danny Stoltz, who resigned December 11th to become the head coach at San Diego State University. The best in college football continue their bowling tonight. 2 bowl games are set for this evening. The Gator Bowl featuring Florida State and Oklahoma State will be played in Jacksonville, Florida. Both teams have an 8-3 record. Probably the most talked about player of the two teams are for the Cowboys. Thurman Thomas, who was a Heisman Trophy candidate, rushed for 1,553 yards this season. The other bowl is the Freedom Bowl out of Anaheim, California. It will be the Big 8 with Colorado versus the Pac-10 with Washington. The Buffaloes have the better record in this one at 7-4, while the Huskies finished the season with a not-so-impressive 6-5 record. And we've got another missing player report today. The New Jersey Nets just can't seem to find Michael Ray Richardson. He hasn't been seen since a team Christmas party on Friday night. Richardson is the Nets' leading scorer, and in 1983, he dropped from sight due to a cocaine dependency problem, but team officials refused to speculate on the reason for his disappearance this time. And in hockey news today, the Detroit Red Wings are looking for a new head coach. Head coach Harry Neal was fired this morning, and reports are that Detroit's general manager will also be released. One of the candidates for the job is Michigan State head coach Ron Mason. Herb Brooks, former New York Rangers coach, is also a top candidate for that job. Marcus Allen added 2 more awards to his long list of honors. The Los Angeles Raiders running back was named the Associated Press's NFL's most valuable player. Plus, he was selected the league's offensive player of the year. Allen was the NFL's top rusher this season with 1,759 yards. And Marcus and his Raiders are part of the playoff picture, which continues. L.A. takes on New England Sunday. The Patriots, you might remember, beat the Jets 26-14 on Saturday in the AFC wildcard game. The second set of wildcard teams did battle yesterday. San Francisco traveled to New York to meet the Giants. In second quarter action, we pick it up here. The Giants lead 3-zip. Quarterback Phil Simms finds Mark Bavaro for the touchdown. It's 10-0 New York. Now we're going to pick it up in the third quarter. Joe Morris rolls his legs into the end zone, or almost to the end zone, rather, with this 30-yard run. It set up the touchdown, which you'll see here when quarterback Simms hits Don Hasselback on a 3-yard strike. The final, Giants 17, the defending Super Bowl champions 3. Next vote for the Giants will be the Chicago Bears on Sunday. That should be a pretty good game.
Oh, that's going to be tough. I think the Bears will do it.
I don't know. I think they will too, but I still think it's going to be a really close game.
Okay, thanks, Carrie. In farm news today, for the first time, sugar is not America's favorite sweetener. The USDA says corn sweeteners are on top this year. By the end of 1985, Americans will have consumed 7.7 million tons of corn sweeteners. Refined sugar consumption will be about 7.5 million tons. Now, per person, that's 64 pounds of corn sweetener and 63 pounds of sugar for the year. Now for the prices at the farm market.
Good afternoon, everyone. In Peoria today, hogs are $1.50 lower at $47.50 to $48. Ohio hogs also $1.50 lower today, $46.50 to $46.75. In Omaha today, 4,200 head of cattle. Choice steers are steady at 62.5 to 64. Heifers are steady at 61 to 62.50. Midwest lambs holding steady for a Monday, 58 to 60 even. Checking the prices now on the Chicago Board of Trade, we see March wheat at $3.45. That's down 1 1/4. July is down 2.5 at $2.91. March corn at $2.49 3/4. That is unchanged. May is at $2.53 3/4 and up 1/2. January soybeans at $5.31 3/4, up 4. March is at $5.44 and up 4 1/4. On to the mercantile now. February hogs at $46.32, down 60. February cattle, 61.60, down 42. And the cash grain bids for Central Ohio, average prices now, wheat at $3.32, corn at $2.38, oats $1.20, and soybeans an average of $5.15 per bushel. Let's look at the markets on this midday. Bill Lehrman reporting for Eyewitness News.
On Wall Street Friday, the Dow was up more than 16.5 points to close at an even 1,543. And today at noon, industrials are up 0.35. Transportations are down a little more than 2 3/4. Utilities are down about 1/2. 65 stocks down 0.72. Looking ahead now to some of the stories you're going to be seeing on later editions of Eyewitness News. If you'll be ringing in the new year with just a little too much of the bubbly, we're going to tell you who to call to get a ride home, and a safe one at that. We'll also hear what some psychics are predicting for the new year and what will happen to your favorite comic strips when the Citizen Journal folds. Find out tonight on Eyewitness News, starting at 5:30, continuing at 6 and at 7. Finally today, there is a man in Westfield, North Carolina, who is pretty broiled over Burger King's latest advertising campaign. You've seen it. It's the one calling Herb to come in to try Burger King. The fictional loser Herb is billed as the only one who's never been into the fast food restaurant. Well, in North Carolina, Herb Schenk does not appreciate the humor in this ad. He thought it was funny at first, but now people in his hometown are referring to him as that idiot on TV. Herb Schenk does not plan to visit a Burger King anytime soon, and his message to corporate headquarters, please stop those ads. And since corporate headquarters is right here, he deserves a break today. And that is our news this Monday. Back to another work week. Good thing it's a holiday right in the middle. It kind of breaks it up. We'll see you all back here tomorrow.
From WBNS-10 TV, this has been Eyewitness News. Join Lou Forrest, Joe Holbrook, and Barry Brickman tonight on the 6 o'clock edition of Eyewitness News for the most comprehensive look at the day's news, weather, and sports from the people you can count on.